Is that working now? Sorry, I've been talking this whole qualifying. Just message in the Discord if you can hear me now. You can hear me. Just message if you can. But even so, the qualifying is taken by the Red Bull of LKN Star, followed by the AlphaTauri, who whipped a lap out of nowhere, seeming to be provisional pole before being pipped by that Red Bull. And in third place, what seemed to be for DJ for Flux did not turn to be. Now this will be an interesting race with last week's race winner running in third and week one's race winner, Week C, running in fifth. However, the Red Bulls seem to be in the best position here now. Okay, all good then. Now we've got an exciting race on our hands. Both race winners only 2 positions apart, with a new pole sitter this week in the Red Bull of LNK Star. The 2 Ferraris with 7th and 12th. With Silverstone's last week performance in 5th, he's looking to improve on that. However, starting in 12th is not going to benefit. However, it's Silverstone. Anything could go. This will be the formation lap now, as the 2 Red Bulls and the AlphaTauri head off. Now it's mediums for the Red Bull, and the AlphaTauri has gone to hards. With third place, with the two Red Bulls on mediums, and the Aston Martin with the AlphaTauri splitting this top 4 with a different strategy, and Week C looking to bounce back, who didn't start last week's race, however won the first week, trying to work his way back with a similar strategy to what would be believed to be the AlphaTauris. Those who started on the hards will probably be looking to reach around lap 17 to then follow the final, or possibly lap 15, anywhere between that pit window. For the ones running on mediums will be pitting around lap 12. As they head through sector 2 now, Cops Corner. The leaders work their way forward, however, quite a lengthy gap between... Oh, and there is a 3 who have been disqualified. The Alfa Romeo, the Mercedes and the Ferrari, all running 7th, 8th and 9th, being disqualified from the formation lap, meaning they will have cold tyres off the start, and this will look quite good for the Haas of AMS Optical. Or the Alpine of Brad be able to get the start. It's not a long straight, however, could improve all the difference off the race start. Now, heading into Sector 3, just the last of the Williams, who's running 20th, working his way down that hanger straight. Now, let's have a look. Who will prevail today? This is the British Grand Prix for RWSRL. And it will be an interesting race as they round the final corner. Here they line up. They've taken their spots on the grid. And the final Williams works his way around, Game Changer, to take up that 20th place grid spot. 7th, 8th and 9th are all running out on cold tyres, for watch out for them. But the race is about to begin. The British Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. The Red Bull gets a good start, matched by the AlphaTauri. They get their way ahead. And here he is, the Red Bull comes around the side. Is there a collision? And there it is. The second place of Solos dropped back to the back of the grid. What happened there? It seems he collided with the Alpine, and the Red Bulls are now running 1 and 2. Week 1's race winner has worked his way up into third after that incident. Brad, 3C. We said he'd have a good start. He had those warm tyres up on those races. Silverstone also up 4 places, but Brad 3C. And there's a yellow flag. There is a Williams that's round. It's XTCX Remix, followed by the Alfa Romeo. The 3 of them sit at the back of the grid. And here are the two Ferraris, Silverstone and Sky. They fight their way round and they're going to go right through into Copse Corner. Now following the leaders, the two Red Bulls are out in front, followed closely by Weeksy. And Sky overtakes Silverstone, who's also gone off the track. Could he lose the place to the Williams here? He has, he's lost the place to Game Changer, but he's fought him back. Oh, and there goes the Williams. Game Changer's gone flying off through Maggots and Beckett. And FaZe Tfue overtakes the Mercedes Depth Knights. Very nice move around there. And AMS Optical, he said he was one to watch. He's gone from 11th to 7th. And Silverstone has just been overtaken by Chris Townsend in the Aston Martin. And there's a yellow flag through Sector 2. DJK Flux leads this first lap. And Silverstone has pit. He must have damage alongside the Mercedes of Depth Knights. That is not a good start for the Ferrari. He wants to bounce back after qualifying 12th, has fell down to 16th and needs to pit for what we will presume will be damage. And the Game Changer has just got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Cool, that's not a good start for them. 4 have pit. 4 racers. That is not a good start to this race, for them at least. Now, the only one in the top 9, the only driver in the top 9 running that different strategy is Weeksy. Could this prove to be the difference today? Running in 3rd place on those hards. Sky Lince has just got a 3-second penalty on lap 2. Now let's watch out for some of the other battles here. Sky Lince and AMS Optical are close together of being followed by, however, keep in mind that Ferrari does have a 3-second penalty. The Aston Martin in 4th place is closing up on Weeksy here on those slower tyres. Is he going to go for a move? He's not. He follows him round. Round Stowe. However, there's been a move. So there's a 3-way battle. Solar, Brad C and FaZe Tfue all together, closely followed up by RWSRL Harry. And DJK Flux is rolling out in front. He's almost gapped a second on his teammate. The Red Bulls are in pure dominance so far. The Aston Martin closes up, however, has lost a lot of time to Weeksy. He was in a better position a minute ago. An ace of race pace has also been slapped with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. This Ferrari of Sky Lince now is right on the tail of that Haas. Is he going to get him? He's got DRS down. He's surely going to get him down the Wellington Straight. He's pulled to the side. Silverstone is out of this race. There are yellow flags. And FaZe Tfue, is he round? He might have been. We must have missed that. The Ferrari and the Haas are battling it out now. They're going to take it through. Going into Copse Corner, he sticks in behind his slipstream. They follow each other. That's a yellow flag in Sector 3. Is that going to be a safety car from Silverstone on those softs? It has remained. Now let's see. The leaders are coming up to that section of the track now, but it has been cleared. Oh, and there is a Ranga is round through Maggots and Beckett. He's fell down to 13th place. That is not what he would have wanted, and his tyres will be very hot now. So it is the two Red Bulls leading the pack, followed by the Mercedes of Weeksy, the Week 1 winner, followed by the Aston Martin of Aussie, Ferrari's Sky Lince, and in 6th is the Haas of AMS Optical. This has been quite the eventful start to the race, and AMS Optical has now been slapped with a 3-second penalty. There are penalties handed out everywhere so far. There's 4 for track limits and 1 for speeding in the pit lane for Game Changer. Now there is only one soft runner at the minute, and that is for the Depth Knights that pitted at the start of this race. You remember after what we presume to be collision with Silverstone, who is now out of this race. Not a good race for him, obviously. Qualified 12th. Quite the disappointment from the man who finished 5th last week. The two Red Bulls cruising out in front. Mercedes now following in 3rd. With not many changes having occurred at the minute. However, the McLaren who spun a minute ago, has said to watch out, has now been slapped with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. It is all within 8 seconds between 1st and 7th, however quite the gap at the back, with the Mercedes of Depth Knights 43 seconds back, the Iceman 57 seconds back, and Game Changer almost a whole lap back. Alongside, you won't forget the fact that he has that 5-second penalty. Now that seems to be quite close between AMS Optical and Chris Towns, and also closing up on that on the Ferrari in 5th. All running on that medium compound tyre. Chris Towns closes up. Is he going to go for the move down here? Into that first lane. Game Changer has also now been slapped with a 3-second penalty for track limits on top of his 5-second for speeding in the pit lane. There is a 3-way battle here going in for 6th, 7th and 5th. A Ferrari, a Haas and an Aston Martin. Now they both all have DRS between the Haas and the Aston Martin, but will he sit in his slipstream and be able to overtake? There's also an AlphaTauri coming to the back of this pie. Solar, who don't forget spun on lap 1 after collision, has now worked his way back up to 8th from back of the grid. That must be due to collisions. And that Aston Martin continues to follow through now. Only 2/10 down. Will he go for the move into Cobb's corner? No, he has dropped back a small amount. As they still battle out for 5th place, the Ferrari, the Haas and the Aston Martin. Will he get a chance down the Wellington straight? And Game Changer is out of this race. However, do not distract you from the fact that the Aston Martin pulls to the side of the Haas. Is he forcing him off there? He stays on the track. And he manages to retain his position. But he's sat right in his slipstream here. Will he go for the move into Vale? We follow on board with him. We're going to follow the Aston Martin now. Oh, and there's a yellow flag through Sector 3. Who is that? Cannot see. But we'll head back to that 3-way battle now. And they're going to have another go at it down the Wellington Straight. He follows behind. The AlphaTauri's joined this battle now as the Ferrari seems to pull away. And he's gone wide! He's gone wide, he's braked late, and the Aston Martin... But has he gone for the switchback? Is it successful? The Aston Martin holds him off. And that is a successful overtake. He's been on his back, and the Aston Martin's now running 4th and 6th. However, speaking of that 4th place, Aussie is closing in on 3rd place of Weeksy. But this battle is not done yet. That he's gone wide. I'm going to presume that's a warning for AMS Optical. Solar follows. Will he be able to get this Haas, who's got a poor exit? Is he going to be able to get him now? They both have DRS. However, a bigger slipstream. And he pulls that to the side of him. Solar goes to the side of AMS Optical. Optical keeps that inside line and holds him off. However, he's got a better exit here for the AlphaTauri. Is he going to go for it into Vale? He's not. He falls behind the slipstream. And Chris Towns seems to be solidifying by this battling between the Haas and the AlphaTauri. Further up the grid, there is now a battle for first. The two Red Bulls are going away at each other, both on that medium compound tyre, which could bring Weeksy into the play in a couple laps' time. He's going to have DRS down, 4/10 back. Is it enough? It is not. DJK Flux holds off. There's a yellow flag through Sector 1. That looks like the Aston Martin. It's Chris Towns, who pulled off the overtake on the Haas earlier, has now gone round and is pulling over to the side. However, the battle remains, but there seems to be a battle going, and there it is! There is contact! Solar has been rear-ended by the Haas, whose front wing is clearly damaged. We saw the end plate come off, and that is both of their races going to have damaged heavily, especially Solar on those hard tyres. Optical surely has to pit. His end plate, the front right of his end plate, is completely missing, which is going to make this Magazine Beckett section all the more difficult. But we head back to the front now, where DJK Flux and his teammate LNK Star are now battling away. They're about to head on to the 8th lap of this race, and first place DJK Flux has just got a yellow, has just got a time penalty for track limits. Are there any other battles going on right now? Surely this Haas will pit. Surely. He rounds Stowe now. He's just been overtaken by the McLaren, or will he fight it back? Is he going to box? He's not, and he's round. He has caught too much curb after the McLaren has tried to overtake him, and Ace of Race Pace has gone round. However, the Haas has pit, the one with wing damage, on lap 8, which is surely not going to be useful. However, FaZe Tfue is now out of this race. He got a 5-second penalty, and here we see the Haas, obviously it's a slow stop for the front wing change, will now fall back into what would be 15th place. Could he be taken by Death Knights? Who now rounds his way. He's coming onto the pit straight, and he will overtake the Haas of AMS Optical. Now further back to the front of the grid, they battle again. Maggots and Beckett's, they'll be onto the hangar straight in a minute. Is this the chance for LNK Star? Is this his chance? He'll sit in that slipstream. Weeksy 1.6 seconds back. Not to worry about. He pulls to the side of his teammate, and he has got the move done. We now have a new leader of this race. DJK Flux falls to second, and LNK Star successfully overtakes his teammate. Could we be looking at a new winner of this season? Obviously his teammate did win last week. However, we are now on to lap 9 of this race. Weeksy has now been overtaken by the Aston Martin. We did miss that. Now, I'm going to presume he's going to stick with him. This battling is going to be helping those Red Bulls get away. However, they are battling each other. Now, onto the Wellington Straight. Will Weeksy be able to overtake him on that different compound? He is 4 tenths behind with DRS and Slipstream, of which the Aston Martin does not have. Does he pull to the side? He does not. He gains 2 tenths on the Aston Martin driver. However, it is not enough. It is not enough. There is battling now between Chris Towns, about to get the DRS on the Wellington Straight we saw a minute ago. It will not be enough, but there is a yellow flag through Sector 3. That is the Haas of AMS Optical. Inkstar, oh, okay, thanks. But it is now Inkstar in the lead of this race, closely followed by the DJK Flux with Slipstream and DRS. It will not be enough this time round. And the Mercedes of Weeksy has just got round Aussie on that straight, and he has defended him. This is not going to be doing good for either of their tyres, just constantly battling out. However, solidifies the gap between DJK Flux and Weeksy. There is a comfortable gap between 5th and 6th for the Alpine and Ferrari. However, Solar is closing in on that Alfa Romeo, who has just pit. Is he going for the undercut there, or has he got damage? I can presume he's trying to gain that place on Solar, or at least solidify it, by setting some good laps on his way out. And there's a yellow flag, and that is the Haas of Ace of Race Pace also pitting. Now, are they going for the undercut here? And we will see. And he's out of this session. He has retired from this race, resulting in the 4th of this race. Silverstone, Game Changer, FaZe Tfue and Ace of Race Pace all out of this race. But here comes Aussie on the inside of Copse Corner. What an overtake for the Aston Martin. But is the Mercedes going to come back at him here? Weeksy on those hard tyres we've talked about aren't, but here they are going to be coming into use. I would have thought the Aston Martin's tyres are wearing away now, and he is just going to be given this place straight back. All he needs is a relatively good exit here for Weeksy, and he should be able to get him back on the hangar straight. He pulls out to the side of that Aston Martin. Is it enough? He takes the inside line, and he gets the move done. And unless the Aston Martin tries to fight him back, but he has got the move. Success. Now, Inkstar has solidified his gap on DJK Flux, who has gone for the undercut, has come into the pit lane. Weeksy, obviously on those hard tyres, will be staying out for longer, and Aussie has also pit. Now, this is probably going to save the fact that he won't be fighting now with Weeksy and will come out into clear air. There's also fighting now going on between the McLaren of James Colasso and Chris Towns. Just the 3/10 separates them, but will the medium compound tyre of Chris Towns cause him to pit? It will not. He has stayed out. Solar has stayed out on those hard tyres. DJK Flux, originally leading this race from many laps at the beginning before he got overtaken by his teammate Inkstar, has now come out in 9th. And Remix has pit. He is now on 12th. He's now falling into 12th. There is a big gap between him and Mo Smegum, and who has now overtaken him because he is in the pits. He is on those new tyres, and that is a new front wing change for Remix. There must have been an instant there that we didn't see. But is there battling going on elsewhere as he now leaves the pits? The McLaren now follows the Aston Martin with his teammate ahead of that Aston Martin. And here it is. The leader, Inkstar, comes into the pits, putting Weeksy on those hard tyres into the lead. And Sky Lynx, who stayed out on those medium tyres, is now up into 3rd. Inkstar comes in. It's a good stop onto the hard compound tyres as expected. Now it's Brad on those hard tyres running in 4th and Solar in 5th. And there comes Skylynx into the pits. His 3rd place is gone and he is fallen down to 5th. These hard runners are now coming up to the front with all Weeksy, Brad, Solar and James Calasso all on those old hards. RWSRL, Harry and Rango and Chris Towns are all on medium tyres and have stayed out. They are going for the undercut here, which can be really powerful at Silverstone. Weeksy leading by 16 seconds. Elsewhere on the grid, DJK Flux, someone who has led this race 5 laps of it, is now about to come up onto the old hards of the McLaren, and he will battle him away. And there's 3 now coming into towards Klopp's corner. And the Alfa Romeo of Harry and the Alpine of Iceman have all pit. Now will we see a 3-way fight on the Wellington Straight? And further... And here they get a good exit. It's the leader of this race, or the provisional leader after all the pit stops, Inkstar, split between the old tyres of James in the McLaren, splitting the Red Bulls. There is no overtakes, but you would have thought this is going to be... The Red Bull of DJK Flux is going to have to pass this McLaren if he wants any chance to battle Inkstar back in the lead. And it is now Inkstar up into 5th after the pit stop of Rango, who was overcutting on those mediums. Will that prevail to be very useful? Ace of Race Pace has left the session. One of the 4 DNFs, as previously mentioned, the Ferrari of Silverstone, Game Changer, FaZe Tfue, and Ace of Race Pace, and RWSRL Harry in the Alfa Romeo has just got another 3-second penalty for track limits. One of 5 drivers now with penalties, all for track limits. Inkstar prevails this minor DRS train. DJK Flux, he has to get round this McLaren to have any chance of battling Inkstar back. Here they head down now into Klopp's corner. He's going to want to catch him on that Wellington Straight. But as long as that McLaren stays in Inkstar's DRS, is he going to even get a shot? Will the slipstream be powerful enough for the Red Bull? We will find out now as they head onto the Wellington Straight. DRS is now activated for the Red Bull of DJK Flux. On those 2 lap old hards, the undercut did not work. But is he going to get round him? He goes for the move. He has to pull back. And is he going to be able to get him on the inside? He is not. That McLaren just holds on those hard tyres. And here in comes Chris Towns. He has lost the longest on those mediums, prevailing 12 laps on them. And DJK Flux will continue to battle as they come up into 6th. And he is now out of this DRS range. Inkstar has... This McLaren has really made it difficult for the second Red Bull. Last week's race winner is in a poor position here, and Skylinks has just got another 3-second penalty. Don't forget he got one right at the start of this race. Now, could we see the pit stops coming in soon for those hard runners? That is the McLaren of James, Solar, Brad and Weeksy. But is the gap going to be enough? The two Red Bulls fighting. Has it given Weeksy the opportunity to pit and come out in that better position? As we said, the overcut could be really useful here. And on those newer mediums, could he prevail? Qualified 5th on the grid, that Mercedes did. Now Inkstar is looking to convert from pole. DJK Flux comes up onto the back of that McLaren. He has to pass him now. The McLaren with no DRS. And now 1.7 seconds off that Red Bull, who DJK Flux wants to be battling. Surely he's going to get him now. He moves to the inside on the newer tyres. Has he got the move done? Is the McLaren able to come back at him? No, he is not. That is a very nice overtake. And Weeksy has boxed. The leader of this race has come into the pits onto the medium compound tyre as expected. And Solar has stayed out, inheriting the lead of this race. And Brad has also pit. Now we'll see where this brings him out. Now we're trying to look now. Weeksy comes out behind that Red Bull, but on the newer and faster tyres, only just ahead. Being held up by that McLaren has proved to be the difference. And Brad comes out now into 8th place. And here the McLaren has DRS. He's on those hard tyres. He will be boxing soon. And out of the Wellington Straight. I've just realised I've been labelling the Wellington Straight the Hangar Straight at points, but here they come into Sector 2. The front of this race after pit stops should be Red Bull from Mercedes. Now, where is that yellow flag? Is that Brad? No, it is not. It's the Iceman, who is in last place, has gone off again. Round Maggots and Beckett's. This is not a good race for him. Now let's look at this battle between the Haas, the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo. Follows round towards Copse Corner. Most notably, the McLarens are a lot closer. The McLaren and the Alfa Romeo are a lot closer than that of the Haas. Could it prove to be all the differences? They are about to head onto the Wellington Straight, and Ranga, as you've just seen, has just gone off. Now, is that going to be a safety car? There is a car out of this race, but where? Solar has come into the pits, giving Inkstar that first place back. Let's head back to this McLaren. Is he gonna? He is now on 6 seconds penalties, I believe. And he's right on the tail of that Alfa Romeo. Solar is exiting the pits in 7th place. Again, on those newer tyres, is he going to be able to work his way up in the grid? And Weeksy has overtaken DJK Flux. There is now a 2-second gap between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. But is that going to be enough? On the newer tyres, that gap is going to be ever closing. And DJK Flux is going to come back at him here, but the question is, can he retain a close amount through Maggots and Beckett's and heading on to the Hangar Straight? And the Iceman has left the session, making our 5th DNF of the race. There's a yellow flag through Sector 1. Is that Alpine who DNF'd? And he is nowhere near close enough. You have to think now, is the Mercedes just going to work his way up? He's on those quicker tyres. Has he got it all right here? The Mercedes really going to be fighting these Red Bull. And in comes James Calasso on those hards. The only one who is left. 15 laps. And as expected, Weeksy has just set the fastest lap of this race. A very good lap from him, allowing him to pull away from DJK Flux in the Red Bull. And there is some battling going on between... There's a 3-way battle going on between the Haas, the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren. Who is going to prevail? This could have been an off goes Leclerc, through goes Hamilton moment there. But the Haas has managed to hold on. And the Alfa Romeo pulls to the side of him. Is he going to get the move done? Is there going to be contact? Almost could have been. He's going to fight him back though. He's going to stick with him, but there is a yellow flag through sector 1. Who has caused that? And he's going to be straight on his tail. And there's a half spin, and there's contact. It's an end plate damage for Ranger. That is not his fault at all. And the Alfa Romeo half spins has just knocked off the McLaren's end plate. That will be bad damage, allowing for the Aston Martin of Chris Towns to close up. This has just been a wonderful. The Haas has just been blessed. It seemed sure that he would lose his position. But the Alfa Romeo's half spin and damage for that McLaren, he's surely going to have to box. He seems to be struggling out there, and having been just overtaken by Aston Martin, he believes imminent that he will pit onto what could be the soft compound tyre for the end of this race, or stealing that. And at the front of the grid, Weeksy has closed that 2-second gap to 1 second. He's going to be in his DRS here. Could we be looking? Has he just got this strategy bang on? The battling between the two Red Bulls has proved to be key, and Weeksy is in a very nice position here. But the question is, can Inkstar defend? But further on down the grid, the Alfa Romeo is now coming back at Chris Towns. He does not seem to have damage, and Solar has just set the new fastest lap of the race on those medium compound tyres after his pit stop. And Rango's just got 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And he's retired from the session, making our 6th DNF of this race. Death Knight has therefore inherited 12th place, and also bringing out a yellow flag in Sector 3 owing to the McLaren's retirement. Most Megan has just been given a 3-second time penalty. The Alfa Romeo has exceeded track limits on multiple occasions. Only 4 drivers out of the points now. The McLaren of James, followed by the Mercedes of Death Knights, who qualified 8th, XTCX Remix in 13th in the Williams, and RWSRL Harry in the Alfa Romeo, with the latter, as well as Remix, both with penalties. We have 8 of the remaining 14 cars with penalties so far, which could prove key. And Inkstar, I did not notice this, has a penalty. Could mean all Weeksy has to do is sit behind it, but he doesn't care. He wants that first place, and he is closing up on that Red Bull. Are we entering the stages of the race now where those hard tyres could be seen to be more useful? But it doesn't matter. He's gaining. He's going to have DRS down the Wellington straight. There are no real battles going on right now. And aside from that of first and second, Weeksy closes up in his slipstream, reducing the drag and allowing for him to gain more time on that Red Bull. And it is now down to 4 seconds. Death Knights, the Mercedes, Weeksy's teammates, has now been given a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. I mean, the only drivers without penalties are all of those that are on mediums. Could that be to do with the grip? We'll find out. Solar, currently on the newest tyres aside from James, on 2 and 3 laps respectively, and Weeksy follows in. We are heading towards the hangar straight. He's 4 tenths down. Is he going to be able to overtake this Red Bull here for the lead of the race? It seems not. Could it be next lap? Could he hold off? But it all depends whether or not Weeksy ends up getting a penalty. They followed down now into the final corner of Silverstone. 7 laps to go, soon to be 6. Inkstar currently leads this race, and he is now 2 tenths down, no DRS down this pit straight. AMS Optical has just been given a 3-second time penalty. The Haas is currently running in 8th place. And the Mercedes of Weeksy, this is the only battle you want to see right now. There is nothing else going on but the battle for first and second. Despite Inkstar's penalty, I'm sure Weeksy will want this to be off pure merit without penalties, and he follows up on that Red Bull. Does he pull to the side? He does. He goes to the lead of this race. He's got the inside line. Is there going to be contact? There isn't. Has the Mercedes got it done? And on those newer tyres, Weeksy has inherited the lead of this race. Incredible overtake, and pulled to the side of him at the Wellington straight. 3-second penalty now for the last running Harry in the Alfa Romeo. He has now been slapped with another penalty. Weeksy just has to hold off now, but the question is, will the Red Bull of Inkstar be able to come back at him after the Magnussen Beggett section onto the hangar straight? We have 6 laps to go. of this Grand Prix. There's a yellow flag through sector 1. That is the Mercedes of Death Knights, who has spun the car around, however retained his 12th place despite there being 2 people behind him. And Solo's just got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That leaves that's on top of a previous penalty. And here Weeksy comes back at him. He's right, so and Inkstar got him back. I completely missed that, but Weeksy's just going to keep battling, and to be honest, this could bring TJK Flux back into the equation of this race. James Calasso is coming up on the Alfa Romeo of Most Megan further down on the grid. But the question is he going to get him now on the Wellington Straight? He did it last lap round. Can he do it again? The Red Bull of Inkstar pulls off to the side to try and reduce that slipstream. Is he going to go to the inside? He is not. That is good defending from the Alfa Romeo, from the Red Bull. And there is a yellow flag for what I believe to be the McLaren of James Calasso around sector 3. But he's going to come back at him here. They go towards Copse Corner. Is he going to pull to the side? He's right on the tail of that Red Bull. There is 5 laps to go of this race, and despite Inkstar's penalty, I'm sure Weeksy will want this win regardless. They head now onto the hangar straight, where it seems Inkstar seemed to get him last lap round. It is 2.5 tenths, ever closing that gap with DRS and slipstream. He moves to the outside. Is it enough? They're going to go wheel to wheel round. And he has managed to, has he got the switchback? He's going to go for it. Is he going to go for it? He's not, and that is brilliant defending from Inkstar. He managed to retain that inside line and prevent that Mercedes from taking first place, despite penalties doing so anyway. And there is now another McLaren out of this race. And here they come, starting with 4 laps to go. Is he going to go for the move? He's gone for the move. He's gone around the inside. And it is it complete? They're going wheel to wheel around here. And he's still going to get, the Mercedes is still going to have DRS. Surely he's going to overtake him here. He heads into the inside, uses DRS, and heads into first place of this Grand Prix. But the Red Bull is coming straight back at him here, and they're going to battle it out. And the Red Bull, he's got the move done. Is he going to have switchback? Has he got the switchback done? They're going wheel to wheel here for brilliant racing on this lap 22 of 26 of the British Grand Prix, and the Red Bull has got the move done. They're just bringing DJK Flux back into this equation, who's gained 5 tenths on the 2 of them in the last lap, but the Mercedes sticks behind this Red Bull. He's going to want to get him straight back here on the hangar straight. It has happened many times in this Grand Prix. Lead has been changed, overtakes have been changed. The Mercedes, is he going to pull to the side of the Red Bull here? He decides against it and holds off another lap. All he needs is to stick within 3 seconds of Inkstar. Is that going to be the difference of this Grand Prix? The penalties are as follows. AMS Optical has 11 seconds. Skylinks has 6 seconds. With RWSRL Harry on 9 seconds. With Remix, Death Knights, Most Megan, Chris Towns, Solar, DJK Flux and Inkstar, those 2 Red Bulls on 3 seconds. Now, where is that yellow flag coming from? Seems it may have come from Brad in the Alpine, but and there is some real racing coming on here, but might as well head back to the lead. Now, is Weeksy going to take the lead? He heads to the inside. He has got the move done, but as we've seen so far, the Red Bull has come back at him, and he's done it again. The Red Bull of Inkstar's come back. The defending is brilliant here, but Weeksy is still trying to retain. He has that inside line, Inkstar, and he has the lead of this Grand Prix. He's pulled out to the side, almost touching the front wing of Weeksy, and they go around Copse Corner again. This is brilliant wheel-to-wheel battling. However, DJK Flux is no longer gaining, and this puts Aussie in his 3-second time range, meaning we could see that Aston Martin on the podium here. And here they head down the Wellington Straight again. Weeksy with DRS. Is he going to pull to the inside? And it's brilliant defending again. He just can't catch up to that Red Bull who takes that inside line and makes sure Weeksy cannot do anything. Penalties may change the result of this race, but my God, has it been good defending from the Red Bull. This is where DJK Flux has to capitalise. He's got the opportunity. They're battling away. He has to catch up, and he's just not proceeding the pace. It's also bringing the Aston Martin back into the equation, as aforementioned. And Weeksy will follow him up again. Oh. They follow through in Sector 1, about to enter the Wellington Straight. And is he going to have another look at it here? That Mercedes follows in the DRS to slipstream, and he's not going to get the chance to move again. Inkstar is just not giving him a chance. There are two laps left of this Grand Prix. Do we really see Weeksy getting the move done? Surely those hard tyres are going to have come back into play now, and he's going to be quicker than Weeksy despite his DRS. As we've seen, they're battling back. I mean, nothing taken away from Inkstar's defending. Both on similar age tyres now, only 3 laps difference between them. And they're going to head now onto the Hangar Straight, out of Brooklands, out of Magnus Beckers. And he is now 3.5 tenths back, which is going to be ever closing now down this straight. 2.5 tenths between them. Is he going to pull out to the side? He's got that inside line, and he pulls back again. He does not want to risk a collision here. He just wants the safe win, of which will be a home Grand Prix for him. Same for Inkstar. Two laps left now. It's all to play for. All it takes is one mistake, one collision. DJK Flux has continued to fall back. He's lost 0.5 tenth in that lap. And he's going to have another go at him here, surely. Heading down the Wellington Straight. The gap remains to be around 2.5 tenths. Is he going to go for it this time? He's been quite reserved on his overtakes, and he's done it again. He's held off, and there is a Haas bringing out a yellow flag around Sector 3. He's going to continue to fight back here as they head towards Copse Corner. Could they reenact the incident? It is a Red Bull from a Mercedes, and he stays reserved. They are comfortably ahead of that Red Bull now, as it remains Mercedes versus Red Bull. It's 2021 all over again. But no collision at Copse this time round. All could change as they head now onto the Hangar Straight. The gap continuing to close, and he just pulls back again. He reduces that gap to 1/10. He can go for it, but he stays reserved, which albeit may not be something dumb to do. They are comfortable now as we enter the last lap of this Grand Prix. Weeksy should surely inherit the win after that 3-second penalty. We've got one more lap of battling here. Fastest lap is currently held by Solar on a 29.7, followed by Weeksy in a 29.9. But they will battle it back. Is he going to go for the move? He pulls out to the side of that Red Bull. Does he get the move done? And finally, after many laps, but we know the Red Bull will come back at him, and he has. This has been brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing. Every single lap of this race, whether it's between Inkstar and DJK Flux, this Mercedes and Red Bull battle is incredible. They're going to go into Copse Corner. The Mercedes pulls back, not wanting to risk a collision and the loss of this race as they enter the Wellington Straight. As they follow through Magnus Beckers, and now with a good exit, can he overtake him purely off pace? He is right behind that Red Bull. Under 2/10. He's got to make up less of a margin to last time. Surely he's going to pull to the side of this Red Bull. And he has. He has got the move done. The Red Bull's going to fight him back, but I don't believe he can. But he has. Out of nowhere, he's defended him out. Those hard tyres are really coming to the play. But as Weeksy rounds the final corner, surely off penalties, Weeksy wins the British Grand Prix. It has been a brilliant racing between Inkstar and who has taken second place on the podium. And with penalties, Aussie, the Aston Martin, also takes up the final spot on the podium. That is a brilliant race from Weeksy. Inkstar also just the 3-second penalty resulting in his loss. However, that is a brilliant race. We head back to 10th and 11th. No real gap. This should be how the race finishes. However, there was some brilliant racing in those last 10 laps between Weeksy and Inkster. It seems his strategy prevailed today, and as those two Red Bulls battled at the front of the grid at the start, he gained. His overcut proved powerful, and he has won the British Grand Prix. Amos on Optical has just been given a 5-second penalty, of which was unserved in the race, which demotes him to 11th place. Giving Death Knights her points, meaning the points from this race will go as follows. Death Knights, 1 point for 10th place. Mosmegan, 9th place results in 2 points. Chris Townsend, 4 points for Brad in 6 points for Alpine. 9 points for Solar with the fastest lap and also 6th place. Sky Links with 10 points for Ferrari, 12 points for the Red Bull of DJK Flux, 15 points for the Aston Martin of Aussie, and 18 points for Inkstar, with the winner Weeksy walking away with his second win from 2 races that he has participated in. That was the British Grand Prix, and thank you for watching. And we will watch the podium here. Weeksy steps out in his Mercedes, celebrates with the Griddy for first place, followed by the Red Bull and the Aston Martin. And thank you for watching.